You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock.
The Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock, and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, where every week we drink a bottle of beer and then wonder where and when we can get some more. My name is Mark, and joining me is Essex's finest export, my beer buddy Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I'm alright, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just about getting your words out there tonight. Have you started before the rest of us this evening?
No, well, Essex's is it tough to say?
I'm not sure if there's a plural for Essex's. Let's ask one of our guests. He should be able to give us a bit of guidance on that.
Yeah. Also joining us are two chaps who need little to no introduction, depending on whether you've heard of them or not. First up, from the Chris Hall beer blog, it's Chris Hall.
Hello.
Chris. How you doing, mate?
Doing really well. I'm really excited to try this beer. It's been a while since I've had tonight's beer, so I'm looking forward to having it.
Cool. Also joining us from the Get Beer, Drink Beer blog, it's the straightforward and to the point, Justin Mason. Hello, Justin.
Hi. Good evening. It's SXE, of course, obviously.
SXE, yeah, that's got to be the plural for it, hasn't it?
Obviously, isn't it?
This week we're combining forces to drink an award-winning beer from Kernel. It's the Kernel Export Stout 1890 London, or the London 1890, depending on whether it's the label or a website you're looking at. So we'll be getting to that in just a little while. We've got a bit of a beery week to review, Stevie.
We have got quite the beery week to review, haven't we?
So
yes.
Last week we had an outing. It was a special little day that Steve and a lot of beer nerds all over the country have been waiting for quite a while. The 2015 release of Magic Rock's Unhuman Cannonball. Chris, you were there as well?
I was indeed, yeah.
Justin, I don't know if you've had a chance to try it yet.
I haven't had this year's yet, but
okay,
hopefully very soon.
So, Chris and Steve, what did you think of this year's UHC?
Very different to last year's. It reminded me more of the first initial release of it. Everybody was talking how it was certainly less transparent than last year's edition.
just a little.
Yeah, Huddersfield murky, I think was around. My understanding was that this year's one was definitely unfined, whereas last year's might have used finings to clear it up a little bit. But it was like a tropical fruit punch. It reminds me of like really strong Mai Tais I used to make at university that were like kind of bordering on brown. That was how much rum was in them.
Right.
But yeah, it was a super fruity pineapple kind of like punch kind of flavour to it. It seems to be a little bit different every year, but I did think the bottled version last year was better, so I didn't manage to get a hold of a bottle on the night because there was a scrum for the bar when they became available, but I would like to try a bottle of this year's.
Steve, what did you think of it, buddy?
There's not really too much I can add to what Chris has said there. Yeah, it looked like a very different beer, it smelt like a very different beer, and it drank like a very different beer to what it was last year. But I think that's part of the attraction, that this beer is going to change every year dependent on what the brewer decides he's going to do with it. I've got a bottle that I'm going to give a try at the weekend, and I'm going to compare that to what we tried at the launch. I think for me though, just taking it a step further, just taking it away from the beer for a second, Thursday night's launch was one of the most amazing atmospheres I've ever felt in a bar. It was just like everybody was really bubbly and really excited and really enthusiastic to be there, and there was a real party atmosphere going on there.
It was.
I just think, that sort of, regardless of the beer that brings all of the people to one place, that sort of event really brings the beer community together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like every year, as much as there are people getting excited and hyped up about the release of Unhuman Cannibal, there are like just as many, if not more, people complaining about the hype coming up to it.
Yes,
it's like actually the hype is actually a very small like minority of the people talking about it. The vast majority of people talking about it are complaining about this handful of people that are really excited. But then, like Steve says, on the night when you can hold events up and down the country and get a load of people together, and it's like a real social occasion. You spend all night, talking to people, not poring over beer lists or like staring at your phone all night. You end up just talking to everybody, and everybody talks to everybody else, and you end up meeting new people that you perhaps know online but not in real life. It's a good social occasion.
Anything else to report beer wise, guys?
I haven't, but I know you have. You tried a series of beers over the weekend, didn't you?
I did. I can't word that good. Chris can word much better than me, and he put out a post this morning about this series. It's the IPA is Dead series from what was I going to say? My Brewdog. Honestly, I haven't started yet. And yeah, great beers. Now, I will admit that the Ella ended up over my keyboard last night, most of it, but I did get a sip of it. That was quite nice. My favourite was the Mandarina Bavaria out of it. I thought that had a nice traditional taste to it, but also some real sweetness going through it, which was really nice.
It's an interesting selection of hop varieties this year. I don't always get a 4-pack to try, because sometimes I'll go and try them in the bar. I might just try a third. It's quite the done thing to go into the Brewdog bar on the day of release and order a flight and taste each third and see which ones you like and which ones you don't. But this is the first time I've really done them all from bottles, and I just sort of calmly worked my way through them, and I think I liked all of the hops or each variety this year for their own reasons. And then I got a bit carried away towards the end and decided to blend all 4 of them. But that surprisingly did kind of work. There've been in the past iterations of IPA is Dead, like sometimes the hops are so massively different to each other. There'll be one that'll be like almost kind of like vegetably kind of like sticky and kind of like odd kind of flavour to it, and then the other ones will be like the kind of super American hybrid hop bomb kind of super soldier variety of hops that you would never want to mix them. But I think there were qualities in each of this year's 4 that I quite wanted to taste together, and when I did blend them, it did kind of work. But as I said in my blog post, I'd quite like it if Brewdog did a 5th beer where each of the hops were used to their full potential at the best points in the process to get the best out of them. That'd be quite a fun sort of educational bottle of beer to drink.
Yeah, so the other 2 hops, there was Chinook and Pioneer, wasn't there?
Yeah.
The Chinook, you could tell that was Chinook straight off.
Yeah.
That kind of really stood up.
It's a Brewdog classic hop. They use it in a lot of their stronger IPAs anyway. You could tell it straight away, as you say. Yeah. Pioneer was more of a kind of modern British hop, so it had a lot of the sort of nettly kind of sort of lighter citrus and woody kind of stuff going on, but it was quite assertive. It did quite well in a beer that strong. So yeah, they all had something quite interesting going on, I think.
Yeah, so we'll put a link in the show notes, I think, to Chris's blog on that.
Thank you.
But let us know your thoughts, and Steve, we look forward to your thoughts next week, mate.
Yeah, I'll get round to doing them eventually. I wonder if I've never heard Justin be quiet for so long, so I'm intrigued to know what Justin's been drinking this week as well.
I feel like I haven't been anywhere or done anything, but it's not actually the case this week. I went over to the Italian job. Really good bar over in Chiswick. Fantastic time. It was a fantastic day Wednesday anyway. And the staff there couldn't have been more helpful, taking us through the beers, and the food was amazing. And I had a slow wander across London via some riverside pubs in Chiswick, via craft beer in Covent Garden, because I wanted to have the Siren Life is a Peach, or whatever it's called, that one. I want to have one of those because I knew they had that on. And finished up in Mother Kelly's in the Sunshine, which was a lovely way to spend a very nice Wednesday. So yeah, I have been having some drinks, but I missed out on the I haven't had any Brewdog this week, and nor have I had any UHC yet, but that will come, no doubt.
Right, shall we get into the news, Stevie?
Yes, let's.
Here's your pips. Beep 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 beep.
Right, loads of news this week, so I'm going to try and rattle through it as quickly as possible. Some Siren news about some upcoming beers they've got coming out. They've got a collaboration coming with Magic Rock, which is a bourbon pecan pie beer, rich brown ale aged in bourbon barrels for around 6 months before being flavoured with pecan vanilla and maple syrup. Also in that release from Siren was news of, mate, you remember the beer that we did for Show 100 that you almost didn't have?
Yes.
Yes, well, apparently they tuck some of it away in barrels as well. So there is a barrel-aged Daydream on its way. This has been in bourbon barrels again with vanilla, and there should come out around May for that one. So keep your eye out for that. Beer Geek barrel-aged Daydream is going to be amazing if it's anywhere near as good as the normal version. Some supermarket news. Morrison's are now stocking Hard Knot beers from Cumbria. I think we've featured one of them in the past. They'll be stocking Code Black, Infrared, and Azimuth. I think that's how you say it. That's how it's spelt. So they're now available in Morrison's across the country. Thornbridge and Waitrose have announced the Great British Home Brew Challenge 2015. Entries are now open until the 31st of July. More information from gbhomebrew.co.uk. And then I've got a double Brewdog whammy because we haven't had any Brewdog news for a few weeks. They've opened a new bar in Leicester. It's the 19th bar to be open, and linked to that is the second Brewdog news story, which it will also be the first of their bars to offer breakfasts at the weekend, with the menu including 5 a.m. red cured bacon with rye bread and eggy bread with maple syrup. A capacity for 170 people, and will serve 20 beers on tap. And then the final news story this week was, and I'm going to bring Chris in on this one because I know you were at this, Chris, was the Beer Marketing Awards last week,
Yes.
which was the inaugural awards evening for this new series of awards. I'll just run through a few of the winners, Chris, and then I'll just let you talk about what the evening was like. So.
Yeah, sure.
The overall winner was Fuller's London Pride, made of London. Now, by overall, what they did, they took all of the winners from all of the various separate awards and then decided which one was best. So that won that. Best branding or design went to Beavertown for their cans. Best use of social media, Brewdog with Mashtag. And then best use of competitions, Thornbridge and Waitrose, the Homebrew Challenge. All of those awards plus more are listed on beermarketingawards.co.uk. Chris, what was the event like?
It was quite a good. It was quite a fun evening. The people that put together, Pete Brown, Joe Miller, and James Cuthbertson, they've got quite a long experience in working in beer marketing and beer PR generally. James is basically one of the people who started Dark Star. And Joe now works for us, well, basically for herself, but as a little company called Nurture Brands, but has previously worked at different beer companies. And Pete Brown is obviously the country's leading beer writer. And they put together a kind of awards ceremony which they designed to kind of level the playing field. So, as you said, from those, the people that won the awards that night, if it had been a traditional drinks industry marketing awards, it would have just been the big kind of regional brewers and the global brewers with the biggest budgets and their biggest TV campaigns winning all the prizes. But because they made a bit more of a level playing field, it allowed people like Beavertown to quite rightly take the best branding and design awards. I mean, that's no surprise to anybody who's ever seen a can of Beavertown beer. It's surprising it's taken them this long to get formal recognition for it. But yeah, and while Fuller's got the overall prize for the Made in London campaign, there were quite a few sort of surprising entries in there. Brewdog got for the social media award for Mashtag, but also in that category were Beer Bods, who all you guys will know as being the sort of the weekly beer subscription social media kind of club, which inspired a lot of the beer subscription clubs that are around now. So it was really good to see them getting nominated. They didn't win; they were up against Mashtag, but it was great to see people like that recognised, and hopefully in future years we'll see more of that kind of thing. People getting recognised for doing the right thing and doing it with not a lot of money, but just with a lot of heart, I guess.
Great stuff, and that'll be back next year, will it? The Beer Marketing Awards.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, they had it at the old Truman's Brewery where they do craft beer rising this year, and I imagine it'll probably be a similar kind of space next time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who does well next year as well.
Okay, fantastic. And I actually think we've got some breaking news coming in now. Okay, so I'm here at Brewdog in Shepherd's Bush, and I'm with James Watt from Brewdog. James, welcome to Beer O'Clock Show again.
Yeah, awesome to be on again, and excited to tell you guys a little bit more about what we've got planned for the next few months.
Okay, James, so what's going on tonight?
Tonight is the exclusive pre-launch event for Equity Punks 4. So we're quite unusual as a business. We are funded by the people who enjoy our beer. We've had 3 rounds of successful crowdfunding up until now, and tomorrow, Wednesday, we're officially launching Equity for Punks 4, which gives people the chance to invest in our business.
Okay, so as you say, it's the fourth time you've done this, so it's nothing new to you guys. What are you looking to raise this time for the company?
Well, the last time we did it, we raised 4.25 million, which was the most successful crowdfunding that's ever been done in Europe. This time, we're trying to take it to epic new heights, and we're looking to raise £25 million.
Wow, that's a lot of money. What will that allow you to do at Brewdog?
Well, at Brewdog, there's 2 things that are important for us, and that's beer and people. So it'll let us invest more in our beer and more in our people. So we're expanding our Ellen Eco Brewery, so more equipment. We're just commissioning a new canning line. We're adding new tanks. We're adding a new brew house. So it'll allow us to do that. It's going to allow us to continue experimentation. We're looking to build a sour beer facility up in the northeast of Scotland. We're looking to open a hotel up there. We're looking to expand into the US with our own US production site. And then we want to invest more in our people. So we're a living wage employer, but we want to do more with staff training, personal development, and be the best company to work for we can be. And we think if we get the beer right and the people right, then everything else is going to take care of itself.
Wow, that's a lot that you're planning to do. Is that what's the timescales on that? So how quickly do you think you'll raise this investment?
It's so hard to tell because what we're doing, no one's ever attempted anything quite this audacious before, and we're looking to raise up to 25 million. But for us, if we could do what we did last time or a little bit more, that'll be amazing, and that's going to help us get going. But we just thought we'd have an ambitious target in there and see what we could do. So it's open for 12 months, and for us, Equity for Punks is about so much more than raising finance. It's about building a community around about our business. It's about shortening the distance between ourselves and the people who enjoy our beers and our Equity Punks. They're our friends, they're our ambassadors, and they're the heart and soul of our business, and we want to expand that community. Okay, and this new round of investment gives a little bit of something back to the original investors as well, don't you? You've rewarded them for their early investment, so to speak. Yeah, definitely. So we first did Equity for Punks back in 2009 when we were absolutely tiny in a shed in an industrial estate in the northeast of Scotland. And with this round of Equity Punks, we've actually given our old Equity Punks some amazing new benefits. So all the Equity Punks 1 and 2s now get a 10% lifetime discount in our bars, and there's loads of other cool stuff going on. And new investors can get that as well, but they've just got to invest over a certain amount to get that. And there's so many great benefits about investing in our company. You get an invite to our amazing AGM. We've usually got 4,000 or 5,000 people going. You get a free birthday beer for life. You get lifetime discounts in our bar and our online shop. And as well, you get to own part of the fastest growing food and drinks company in the UK over the last 4 years. So it's a pretty sweet deal. Exciting times. Where do people go to invest? All you have to do is go to our website, which is brewdog.com. There's all the information on there, so you can go, you can download the prospectus, you can find out more about our company, our plans, our financial performance, about the benefits. If you've got any questions, you can get in touch with us, and you can do everything online. Okay, great stuff, James. Thanks for your time, and back to the studio. Oh, one second. Oh, maybe not. You should tell people about the amazing new and exclusive beer that I've just let you taste. Okay, well, let's talk about that then, while we're here. Tell us about the beer that we're tasting right now. So this is the first time anyone except our team has tasted this beer, and it's the first ever sour beer that we've made from Ellen. It's called Whiskey Sour, and it's a deconstruction of the famous Whiskey Sour cocktail in fermented form. Okay, so tell us what's gone into
you've deconstructed it. How did you start that process?
Okay, so it's a 7% beer. We have soured it with lactic, so the pH is way, way down there, so you get that mouth-puckering acidity, the sourness in the beer. We've used loads of caramel in there to recreate that caramelly toasted marshmallow bourbon character. We've also added some orange juice, some lemon juice, some lime juice to get that citric edge in the beer. And then we've aged it on vanilla pods and oak chips that we've also soaked in bourbon.
Okay, and it's a stunning beer. It's really enjoyable. It's really refreshing. All of those flavours are coming through, and it just leaves a really sweet finish on the tongue that makes you just want to just dip back into it again and again and again. Is this going to be available? How's this going to be available? Just in the bars, or are we going to see some bottles of this?
We only have 20 litre kegs of this beer, so it's a tiny batch. We've just made it in our small system, so it's going to be in tap in our bars for a very limited time only, and that's it. But with Equity Punks, we're looking to raise money to build a sour beer facility so we can do much more of this type of fermented chaos.
Excellent. So it's another reason for people to invest, to allow you to create more of this fantastic beer.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, James. Appreciate it. And this time we will go back to the studio.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Right. Well, let's get on with this week's beer, shall we?
Yes, please.
So, as we said at the top of the show, it is from the Kernel, their export stout, London 1890, a 6.7% ABV stout. So, let's crack it open.
How strong is yours?
6.7.
Okay.
How strong is yours?
7.1.
Yeah, so is mine. I've got a 6.7. Recent bottling.
Yours is a recent one.
Yeah, mine was bottled on 18th March.
Mine was with the hand stamped label.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think mine is 4 or 5 years old.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
Craft Blanker.
And everybody groans.
Every bloody time.
Well, mine's from mid-September last year, which I'm assuming is the same for Steve.
Yeah, I think mine's the same as that as well, mate. Yeah.
Mine's only got a best before.
Well, that's interesting. At least with 3 different variations of this, it'll be interesting to see whether there's any similarities being pulled out across them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mine is pouring like gravy. It's fantastic.
Oh, lovely.
Really, really thick, coffee, creamy coloured head on it.
Yeah. The head is a thing of absolute beauty.
There's a surprising amount of carbonation in this beer in the one I've got, considering it's 4 or 5 years old.
I guess it means it's still mostly alive after that period.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Do you remember the early bottles of Kernel were very heavily sedimented?
Yeah.
They were very, very murky.
Yeast cake.
You'd struggle to see that in this, wouldn't you? Because it's almost as black as night anyway.
Yeah, there's where I've had this stored, there's quite a degree of yeast settled on the bottom of the bottle. I would say probably a centimetre and a half.
I feel really lucky. The last time I was on the show, it was a Kernel beer as well. I seem to luck out.
Yeah, we save them for you, Chris.
Oh, that's okay. You can keep doing that if you want. I'm okay with that.
I think it was the London Sour we did with you, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah. It was the straight up London Sour, the 2.8. That was
lovely.
Great.
Do I get to take
the beer in every way?
Do I get to take the ball home tonight? It's my hat trick show.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, we normally make a bit of a thing of that, don't we? Sorry, Justin.
It's only Justin.
It's all right. I'm not offended that much.
So what are you getting on the nose on this one?
Mine has got still quite a lot of fresh kind of coffee roast kind of stuff coming from the black and malts. Not so much in the kind of maybe like raisiny, pruny kind of smell you might get when it's a bit stronger and maybe a bit more.
I've still got a remarkable amount of coffee on this.
Yeah, I've got good amounts of coffee as well.
I'm getting coffee with a little hint of vanilla in there.
Yeah, I was just saying, I've got some vanilla.
Yep. Vanilla's in there. Just a hint of it at the end of the coffee.
I would imagine, whereas this was bottled at 7.1, it may be a little bit stronger now, judging by the volatiles
it's probably
coming off.
about 17% by now. Just
Yeah, probably.
All right, well,
Melted the glass.
cheers, guys. Let's get this down.
Cheers, guys.
Blimey, it's like eating. Oh, it's such a fantastic beer. It doesn't really you don't really drink it. It kind of like moves in.
Moves in and inhabits you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still here. I swallowed it, and most of it is still. I can still taste all of it.
Lovely and smoky.
It came in like a lump. It just moved into your mouth. It's a really good description.
That wasn't a lump.
A lump of it came in. I've got lots of charcoal and leather. Little bits of tobacco in with the coffee. This is very, very good.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That makes it sound like eating an old sofa, but it is actually quite.
These are really good flavours.
Yeah.
I was really expecting a lot more fruitiness, and none at all actually.
I think with these older recipe kind of stouts, they tend to, because they're a bit more dependent on like the kind of older style like brown malts as opposed to the roasted or crystallized kind of stuff that we tend to use now. It's less kind of sugary sweetness and more just kind of, it's just depth, just really inky, black, dark depth to it. You can imagine it sustaining you for like a whole day if you didn't have anything to eat.
Yeah. Well, I was reading something that Des Moore had written a little while ago about this, and apparently it was based on an old Truman's recipe, from what I can gather. And Truman's, and I'm going to quote Ron Pattison, for this particular beer, for the export stout, Truman's usually used around 20 to 25% sugar in their grist, but for this particular beer, they didn't use any sugar at all. So that sweetness is missing, and it's just wholly a malt beer.
That's a good shout actually, because normally when you get this kind of feel and flavour from a stout, you do get a little bit of sweetness at the end, but what you get in here is just what starts off as a really smooth bitterness, and then all of a sudden that bitterness just seems to step it up a level out of nowhere and just leaves with this incredibly dry finish to it.
Yeah, and there's a lovely smokiness coming through it as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it kind of changes each time you go back to it. You find more to it as your mouth gets used to the initial like harshness of the coffee and leather and stuff. You can eventually discover new depths, new extra little nuanced flavors to it. It's it's like it goes right into your teeth.
Yes. The only beer you'll be picking out of your teeth, Leo.
Yeah, yeah.
It keeps hinting. It's hinting at chocolate, but not quite getting there. The coffee keeps dragging it back to those muddier flavours, the leather and
if at all, it's that full on like 85% cocoa, kind of like the same kind of colour as that beer, really.
Yes, exactly.
Black chocolate.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's like a really dark, bitter chocolate. There's none of that like milk tray in here or anything like that, is there? It's dark chocolate that's in there.
Oh, this means business, this beer. It's proper chocolate. It's a very grown-up drink, you might say.
Yeah, and it's amazing how different it is from, I think, a lot of the stouts this strength that we drink nowadays all tend to be quite heavily influenced by, American stuff like Speedway Stout and that sort of thing, and they are incredibly sweet, kind of indulgent, decadent kind of beers that are like, like each sip is like 500 calories of just like treacle, whereas this feels like it doesn't care. It's got no interest in being like sweet at all. It's just heavy. It's just heavy duty.
I find those American beers can be quite oily and unctuous, whereas this isn't at all. It's quite smooth. It slides down very nicely. I'm not getting any trace of oiliness at all on there. It's dry and it's chocolate, but it's not oily chocolate. It's that leather. It's well-worn leather. Is a very good description of this. The way it feels on your tongue. I think this is lovely. Really, really good.
The carbonation is not unpleasantly high, but it is crispy. It's the word that's coming to mind as I'm drinking it. Like you say, it's quite fast and smooth. It's still heavy, but it's the carbonation does make it easier to drink. It is quite a crisp, sharp beer.
It almost gives it that carbonation almost gives it a refreshing edge. You know, if you was to just chill this just a little bit, you've suddenly almost got a refreshing stout in front of you that you'd want to grab in the middle of a hot summer's day.
I am actually very partial to a cold bottle of stout. It's not necessarily the best way to enjoy it, but like a really nice dry Irish stout. I quite like Fuller's Black Cab for that. It's like a cold bottle of it can be, as you say, can be surprisingly refreshing. It's just what depends what kind of flavours you're into. But this beer just won't let you drink it that quickly.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, it's fully in charge.
Yeah, there's a challenge if I've ever heard one, Mark.
Now, while we're enjoying our beer and nursing it a little, Chris, what have you been up to writing-wise lately? Because obviously we've mentioned your blog already, but I think you're working on a book.
Yeah. So the last time I was on the show, around then last year, myself, Matt Curtis, Craig Heap, and Rory O'Toole, with the help of Lee Lindley, we'd released the second of our collaborations with Future Publishing, which was the 100 Best Breweries in the World. And we've since been working on a kind of follow-up to that. But this time we're doing it independently. We've basically got total control over what we wanted to create. And instead of it being a kind of commissioned piece of writing work for Future, this is for us very much a labour of love, trying to create a kind of a similar size and shaped publication that for us really encapsulated everything that's amazing about beer in the UK at the moment. And so that's broadly what we've been working on. We've almost finished the writing of it. And in a kind of nod to the previous iterations, which are under the masthead of craft beer, this one is going to be called Beer and Craft, and it's the best breweries and bars in Britain, which should hopefully be in the hands of people summer this year. As I say, we've just finished the writing of it, but now the real hard work begins in like getting it designed and published and so on. But you can expect it to look broadly similar to the kind of what the publishers called a bookazine kind of format. So book quality content and number of pages, about 200, but in a sort of magazine kind of shape.
Is that coming out through Future again?
No, so this time we've done it entirely on our own.
Okay.
And we've been beavering away on it since late last year. It's based around sort of done like a number of like major city hubs where there's like a really big beer scene, and then we've also done like a number of smaller kind of sections that kind of nods to places where the beer scene is really starting to get interesting, places like Liverpool and Belfast and Aberdeen, Glasgow and Brighton and places like that, alongside like the major bigger places like London and Manchester and Leeds and that sort of thing.
That must have been a real tough gig, mate, to have travelled up and down and across the country, going to some of the best cities in the world and the best breweries in the world and drinking beer. It doesn't
get any easier, especially when you've got a full-time job as well. Sometimes the writing hangovers, as I like to call them, can be quite severe. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun doing it. I think that comes across in what we've written. It's definitely the best thing that we've done out of all the ones that we did with Future. This one we've done on our own. It's the same writing team, and we had an absolute blast doing it. And we just want to kind of just do justice to how amazing beer is in this country at the moment, and show just how many great people are involved in it. We've tried to focus on like the people who make it and the people who sell it to you wherever we can. So there's good interviews with people who work in the bars and the breweries, not just the people in charge of them, but people who work there and people who work in the shops that you like, and you know, all the places that you find great beer. We wanted to try and find the people that are involved in that scene and show people how accessible it is. It's not something kind of weird, scary, exclusive club that you have to know everything to join. It's something where people are waiting for you with open arms and a fresh pint, you know, just trying to show you new stuff.
Excellent. Well, listen, mate. When you write your fourth publication, which will no doubt be the world's greatest beer podcasts, we're obviously available for an interview for that one.
yeah, absolutely.
200 pages easy, surely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Justin, how about you, mate?
Well, from a few years ago, from writing about the London scene, being slightly outside London, there's plenty of people now writing about that scene. So I've sort of turned my attention to my home county, partly with the view of expanding the Beer East Anglia project we've been working on with Ed and Nate. So that's going a bit further. But I'm trying to get to the root of the beer in Essex. What is my home county producing at the moment? It's very easy to be swayed by the bright lights of the big city, but I found through a little bit of digging and some great contacts some various interesting things out about Essex beer, and I've stumbled across some great beers. I've been very fortunate. I've been invited by a few brewers and people that run excellent pubs to come and visit them. I've got another couple of visits in the next few weeks to go and talk to people. I should get both sides of the story, talking to brewers and publicans and the general public. I've been asked to write for a couple of the local camera publications, which is always good. One of which is about the Essex bottle share. So that's going to be quite interesting. So my year this year is looking at what's happening right on my doorstep. So I'm quite excited about it. I thought it might be a little bit mundane, and it turns out I'm having an absolute blast. So that's what I'm working on this year.
That's great that you're looking closer to home, because I know there's a few bloggers that are doing that at the moment, aren't there? I've seen a few pop up now that are doing kind of a focus on their own counties rather than just focusing on maybe some of the bigger well-known breweries.
That's right. I mean, I was talking to just online with Rach from Look at Brew, where she's doing something very similar with Sussex, and we're mooting at the moment a Sussex-Essex beer off in a neutral pub venue, possibly London, possibly towards the end of the year. But that's very much in the early planning stages. However, it looks as though it could be a goer. So when I have details, I'll let you have details on the Beer O'Clock Show.
And the gloves are off for that one.
Let you break the exclusive of that one.
Excellent, thank you. Well, again, Justin, you know, when you start looking at the best podcasts in Essex, you know, you're welcome to talk to us about that.
Oh, well, where else would I go, for goodness sake? No other bugger has me on, to be fair.
Right, and you can.
I'll let you know.
And your blog is at masonjust.blogspot.
Blogspot.com, yes.
We'll link to both of Chris's and Justin's blogs in the show notes. So if you don't already know where they are, and if you're listening to us, surely you should know these guys and you should be reading their stuff. But if you don't already know that where they are, go into tonight's show notes and just click through onto the guys' websites and give the great work that they're doing a read.
Right, how are people getting on with this beer?
I've just taken my last sip. Because it did go very, very quickly, because I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I found it really, really easy, really, really smooth to drink. The bitterness at the end is so well balanced. The flavours work really well together. It's almost like the top end of the sessionable spectrum at the 6.7% version that I've got here, I think.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy for a stout and lovely flavours. That smokiness that I love in a stout coming through, a little bit of sweetness. Gorgeous. How about you, Justin? What are your final thoughts, mate?
I think it's lovely. I've had the newer version. I've obviously not had one this age before. And I like the way it's not developed beyond recognition of the original beer. It's stayed quite true to its original, and I think that's testament to the brewing and testament probably to the original recipe. I know with these stouts, they were matured for a long time in big barrels, so you needed to maintain that flavour, and I think that's why this beer has kept all its character for that time. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Chris?
Yeah, it's fantastically accomplished. You really know you're drinking a Kernel beer when you drink this. I think it's brilliant. It's definitely one of the best stouts of this kind in the UK. Not many other people are doing it. I think more people should. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of really different sensational flavours you can explore and brew with this kind of beer. I'm still enjoying mine. I've still got a little bit to go, to be honest. I'm just happily sipping away for a little while. This is mine at 7.1. Definitely feels a lot more robust, but I think I'm going to do what Justin did. I'm going to buy another one and then leave it for a few years and see what happens to it.
I think that's a really good shout, actually, Chris. It's a beer that I think will just get better with time, and I think right there as well is probably a reason why we had both of you on tonight's show, because I think Mark and I felt as though we just wouldn't be able to do the beer justice on our own. So why not get two of the UK's best bloggers on to talk to us about it?
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool. So that's the Kernel Export Stout London 1890, 6.7% or 7.1% depending on who you are. As we get towards the end of the show, we have another little surprise. Now, last week we had a 41%, not a 4.1%, 41% sink the peak. Fucking hell.
You're struggling this week, mate. You are really struggling. You sure you haven't been drinking before we start recording?
I'm completely sure. We had that fucking Brewdog beer last week. This week our surprise is a little bit easier, although it does have a bit of a kick in it. Steve, do you want to introduce this one? Because I can't talk.
No, I'm not going to introduce this one. It's Justin's fault that we're doing this drink on tonight's show. So I'm going to let Justin introduce it.
It's my fault they do it. What? Because I got talking to the girls at the Harvest Doom thing.
Yes, because you got talking to them. You made us sample it, and we had a sudden revelation that we actually thought that this was quite possibly the world's best hangover cure waiting to happen.
So let me just put it into a little bit of context. When we had this, we had been all afternoon at Craft Beer Rising,
yes,
drinking free beer. And considerably very, very good beer, and chatting to some brewers. And we had got to the Harvest Tune place. I can't remember the name of the brewery. It was St Bart's Brewery?
St Bart's Brewery, which is a pub, not a brewery, but we'll assume that it was built on a site where there used to be a brewery.
We were going in for the launch of the Wee Beastie range. There was an initial launch for press. And while we were waiting outside, we had some run of the Harvest Doom beers. Now, we went through the Eau de Do, which was fantastic. And I was talking to some chap who ended up being a publican, who carrying Harvest Doom beers. And just going through the bottles because he was looking quite quizzically at them. And as I was standing there talking to him, this girl produced this small bottle, and I said, "Oh, looking across a different bottle, what's that?" And this is where it all started. So I think I had some, called you over, said, "Look at this," and we went from there, didn't we? Really, and
we did.
The girls from there, yeah.
We did, and that's progressed to tonight's show, where. We are, unfortunately, Justin, ironically, you don't have a bottle.
I don't. However, what
tonight.
I can remember is that it was a very good break between Craft Beer Rising and the beer that was to come, which was some very, very good beer from Harvest Doom, it has to be said. And it sharpened up my taste buds again, whereas they were being a little tired. So if nothing else, it's not a hangover cure. It's certainly a mid-session beer. If you've hit the heavies and you want a break, yeah, I would say it sharpens up your taste buds. But I'll let you boys get on with it, and I shall sit back and listen.
Absolutely. So what we're about to do is Nix Kix, fruity cayenne tonic. and I still don't know if I'm saying that right. Cayenne, fruity cayenne tonic. Choose whichever one you want.
Yippee cayenne.
Yippee cayenne, yeah. With blood orange and ginger, which the girls have given us. If you hang around until the end of the show, we've actually got an interview with Kerstin and Julia from Nix Kix that they tell us all about how the concept came about, where it's available, those sorts of things. And I think this is a bit of a first for the Beer O'Clock show, because this is the first non-alcoholic beverage that we've ever kind of reviewed or drunk on the show, which is interesting. So I've got some poured. Mark, have you got some to hand? And Chris, have you got some ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so let's get into this and just give it a little bit of a review. Let's get cayenne happy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. That is quite an interesting little finish to it. I quite like that.
It's quite warm, isn't it? The finish.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the spiciness in the finish is a little bit like that what you might get from a Bloody Mary, but the beverage itself is like a light, kind of almost grape-like, sort of iced fruit tea kind of flavour to it. It's quite an interesting combination.
I would have put 20 quid down on you saying Bloody Mary at that point.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought of it. Yeah, it's that Bloody Mary Tabasco hit.
Yeah, but it's so light, and it's like it's like there is some kind of grape juice in here, isn't there?
Blood orange.
Blood orange. I've got it says grape juice concentrate on the ingredients. Maybe that's where I'm getting it from. But yeah, the blood orange definitely. It's a sweetened, a very rich, sweetened kind of orangey kind of flavour. I'll be honest with you, I am drinking some of it as it is, but I had this idea that I thought it might go quite nice with some rum that I have. So I've also poured some over some rum.
Nice.
They do also suggest that it makes a good mixer. So they apparently, Kerstin and Julia like drinking it with gin, vodka. They kept trying to offer us mixed with gin. I was like, no.
That sounds interesting. The rum I'm drinking it with is Angostura 1919, which is a really beautiful golden Caribbean rum from Trinidad and Tobago, and it seems to have kind of intensified a lot of the flavors in it. It's kind of picked out spiciness in the rum, has picked out the spiciness in the Nix Kix, and kind of like combined together. So it's actually quite a refreshing and spicy combination that's quite easy to drink. I feel like maybe it would be good with some mint in it, or some kind of herb, I'm not sure, maybe basil or mint, I'm not sure, but it feels like there's another dimension there to be explored, but it is very, very refreshing.
Yeah, they also do a lemon and lime version, and which I haven't tried yet, and cucumber and ginger, was it, Steve?
Cucumber and lime.
Cucumber and lime.
Yeah.
Okay, which I don't mind. My wife didn't like it that much. I don't think Steve liked it.
I didn't like it that much. It was too much cucumber.
Yeah, it is a bit cucumber, but it is very refreshing at the same time. But I really like the blood orange and ginger.
I do, and I think remarkably, it's actually worked quite well after the stout as well, because that hint and that little kick that there is at the end of it kind of continues that little bit of warmth that you were getting through from the stout as well. So I think it's an interesting drink. It's certainly a refreshing drink, and I'd suggest hanging around to the end of the show and listening to the interview with the girls to hear all about the drink and also where you can get it from as well.
Indeedy. Now, Stevie.
Mark.
Do we have an Instagram of the week, mate?
Yes, mate. Of course we do. This week, one of our regular contributors takes it this week. Fantastic film, Ian G, for his picture of the IPA's Dead series, which kind of continues a theme a little bit for tonight. But he took a great picture of all 4 bottles, what must have been on his patio or something, in the sun, and they just look glorious. So there's a great big box full of nothing heading its way to Ian G for being this week's Prizeless Prize winner. And if you want to enter your own picture into our Prizeless Prize competition, just stick it up on Instagram, use the hashtag #CheersGuys, and we could be shouting your name out next week.
Yeah, and what's coming up next week?
Next week, mate, it's the end of the season.
No.
It's just flown by. It's absolutely flown by. So next week is all about the Irish. We've got Wayne and Janice are coming back. Ian's coming back. Sarah's coming back. It's going to be all the Irish on the show with us, and we're reviewing Kelly's Mountain Revolution Red and Trouble Dark Arts Porter.
It's going to be a long show.
It's going to be a very long show, so get ready for that one. We've also got a special mention this week, mate, and I've just got to say, it's the first time we've done this. David Johnson at @hang_the_DJ.
Oh yeah.
He's just finished listening to our entire back catalogue. Well done to that man to have gone through all previous shows.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so sorry you had to sit through that early stuff. But we hope you enjoy the new Revisited series, which launched this week. First episode of that's now on our feed. You can go back and you can listen to us re-reviewing Thornbridge's Wild Raven, and actually doing it with palates that can pick out some flavours other than just, well, this is hoppy. This tastes like hops, and it smells like hops, and it's got a hoppy finish. So, check out the Revisited series now on the Beer O'Clock Show feed.
Indeed. Now, Chris, people can find you at Chris Hall Beer. Where can they find you on the web, mate?
It's chrishallbeer.com now.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, nice and easy.
And look out for Chris's book coming at some point this year.
Hopefully in the summer.
In the
If
summer.
you follow me and Matt Curtis on Twitter, you won't be able to stop us yammering on about it once it's going to.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it as well, Chris.
And as I said last week, occasionally they will tweet about their quote-unquote research that they're doing. Well, technically they're finished. Justin, people can find you at masonjust.blog.
Shall I do it again? masonjust.blogspot.com. 1970s boy everywhere else, or just search for Justin Mason, you'll find me.
Hashtag random bloke off Twitter.
Indeed. Or hashtag beer in Essex at the moment if you want to find what I'm up to.
We are on the web at beeroclockshow.co.uk, on Twitter at beeroclockshow, on Instagram at beeroclockshow, on Untapped at beeroclockshow. I'm on Untapped at beershowmark, and on Twitter at beershowmark. The Beer O'Clock Show is proud to be supported by Ales by Mail, your premier destination for bottled real ales delivered directly to your door. Visit alesbymail.co.uk and use the code BOCS10 for a 10% discount. Right, stick around after the tinkly music for the interview with Nix Kix about their range of tonics. And until next week, Stevie.
It's been the highlight of my week, mate.
And mine, Chris, Justin, thanks very much, guys.
Cheers,
fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Until next week. Bye.
It's Beer O'Clock, only we're not talking beer today. Instead, we're getting cayenne happy with the founders of Nix Kix Tonics, Kerstin and Julia. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello, hi.
Let's start off with a simple question. Tell us about Nix Kix.
Nix Kix was founded half a year ago, and we only launched the products a couple of weeks ago. Actually, we've been researching for quite a while because we wanted to get that healthy kick into a drink. And we found cayenne to be the absolute best ingredient for that because it has lots of health benefits, so that also gives you a great taste experience, but at the same time it makes you happy.
Okay.
Yes.
Where did that concept come from of putting the cayenne into a drink?
That was just a lot of research done, figuring out what kind of works, because we wanted to also provide a drink that can go into bars and restaurants, and so, for example, if someone doesn't want to drink alcohol, they can have that drink, and it has kind of a similar punch to alcohol. You know, it's not something like just an orange juice. So that was one thinking behind it, and then when we found out that cayenne can actually make you happy, it makes your body release endorphins because you're drinking something spicy, and we thought, wow, this is an excellent drink that you can have not only in the evening but also then in the morning as a pick-me-up or in the afternoon.
Okay, and that's obviously one of the reasons I'm guessing right now some of our listeners are probably wondering why we've reviewed the drink on the show tonight and why we're doing an interview with you guys. When we first tried this, we kind of immediately thought it was the perfect hangover cure because it gives you that lovely refreshing flavour from the juice that's in it, but then you do get that kick that all of a sudden wakes you up and thinks, oh, hang on a minute, there's something going on in my mouth there. Tell us about the current range that you've got, because you've got a few flavours out at the moment.
Yeah, so we have 3 flavours. We have a blood orange and ginger, which particularly like young females like, but also guys like it. It's great on its own, or you can mix it with dark rum or tequila. Like, it's a lovely base for a margarita. The cucumber and lime is probably the favorite of guys because you have that hot and cold experience of the drink, and that one also goes extremely well with gin, for example. And then you have a lemon and lime, which the lemon and lime is just a great summery flavor. We knew we were gonna launch just before summer, and that one also goes extremely well as a mixer with vodka, for example, or again, great on its own.
And just there, you're talking about obviously using the drinks as mixers. Was that the intention when you set out, or did
No.
you start off wanting to produce a health drink and then actually had a sudden realisation that, oh, hang on a minute, put alcohol in these and it turns it into something completely different?
Yeah, so that was kind of like, it was never intended, and our leading proposition is it's a non-alcoholic drink, which you can enjoy all day long. But when we pitch it to bars, obviously the first question we're gonna ask, so what type of cocktail can I make out of it? Mm-hmm. So obviously you can make amazing cocktails, non-alcoholic, but also it's great as a mixer. So we don't want to push either way. So if you want to enjoy with alcohol, without, you're happy to do so.
And when you were developing the drinks at the start, what influenced your thinking around the different flavours that you wanted in each of the different versions of the drink?
We wanted to create an amazing taste experience with well, for example, lemon and lime is a flavor, everyone knows lemonade. People drink Fanta or lemonades are probably the most bought drinks in the UK. So we knew people like this kind of flavor, so we just made it with a twist, basically, in that case. Blood orange and ginger. Ginger is something that is really nice, and as you said, a good hangover cure as well. Mm-hmm. So that was the obvious one, and we went out and tested it on people, and people really loved it. So we're like, wow, this is obviously something that makes sense to keep. And then cucumber and lime, as Julia said already, it's just this amazing experience you've got there from the cool from the cucumber and then the kick, the heat from the chili. It just goes very well together.
And was it the ginger one that we tried? Initially that made us...
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. That was the initial one.
Yeah, because ginger on its own can have quite a spicy feel to it, and then you add the cayenne to that, and all of a sudden you've got all these flavours going on in your mouth. Is that what you were looking for from the addition of the cayenne to the drinks?
Definitely. So we initially started with lots of different heat levels. We tried out different chilies and ginger, but we realized that the combination of cayenne with ginger works really well. Like, ginger on its own, you feel the heat immediately at the front and at the back, but with the sensation of a cayenne, it kind of delays it a little bit, and you drink it and you're like, oh, it's not spicy at all, but then you have that sudden hit of the flavor from the cayenne, and it really they push each other and they complement each other very well.
And they're all ingredients that are produced in the UK as well?
The ingredients were blood orange, for example, comes from Italy, from Sicily. So it's all freshly juiced, and we make sure that the quality is high of the ingredients, although obviously we can't guarantee that everything is from the UK, because that would limit us quite a lot.
Yeah. What do you think it is about the range of drinks that is going to stand out and is going to attract people to them?
It's the kick. It's the cayenne. That's our USP. So we're the first cayenne-based drinks brand in the UK, and it's just something different. And it gives you. It's actually the drinks are really refreshing. So it's a great summer drink. People always think, well, cayenne, maybe it's a bit, it's when it's hot out, you wouldn't want to drink it. But no, just the opposite. It's actually super refreshing.
And I think that's something that some of our listeners will be able to relate to, actually, because chili is a flavour that's used in beer quite regularly, and there are some really good chili beers out there that I know I've sampled in the past, and I imagine a number of our listeners have. So if we've got people that are interested in trying the products, where can they find them at the moment?
So at the moment we're focusing on East London primarily, but from there we have big plans to launch across London as well as the whole of UK. But if anybody is interested in ordering a couple of cases, they can drop us an email, and we're happy to facilitate that.
Okay. So obviously, how do people get in touch with you? You've got a website, you're on Twitter. Share those details with our listeners now.
Yeah, so it's really easy. Our Twitter handle is Nix Kix. So that's NIX and KIX, which we use across Twitter, Google+, Facebook, Instagram, and you can contact us through that. Or our email is info@nixandkix.com.
Okay, and what we'll do is we'll make sure that in tonight's show notes we'll put a link to the website so people can click straight through. I know you've got a sign up service on your website, haven't you?
Yep,
so people can sign up to the latest
Yep,
news.
yep.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for giving up your time. Hopefully we can introduce this range of great drinks to our listeners, and encourage them to get cayenne happy as well.
Thank
Perfect,
you.
thank you.